Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to revise trade receivables and trade payables. This is a topic relevant for all those students who are preparing for their ACCA F3 exam, right? So I have picked these questions from your ACCA Study Hub. These are around 10 to 12 questions, okay? We'll practice them. You can practice along with me or you can just watch me doing the questions, all right? I'll explain each and every question and we'll do it, right? So let's get started. The first question is, Zain has a business designing and selling silver jewelry to a retail outlet. She offers 30 days credit to her customers. At 31 March 20x8, she has the following trade receivables. Okay, so Zain is a girl. She is into a business of selling jewelry. Okay, and she sells jewelry to her customers and she offers them a 30 days credit, which means that the customers can pay to Zain after 30 days, right? So what is happening? This is our account at 31 March, that is at the closing date. So when she started this year, that is on 1 April 20x7, she had opening trade receivables of $65,760. Okay. Then during the year, she must have made some sales, which increased her trade receivables to 1,62,450. All right. So see, what would be the entry? I'm just explaining here to you for the logic. So when she made the sales, the entry would have been trade receivables, debit, and sales credit, because we know that trade receivables is our asset and assets have debit balance. Okay, so that's why we have increased our trade receivables. Okay, on the debit side it would increase and on the credit side the trade receivables would decrease. Okay, then during the year some trade receivables had paid her. That's why here we have written bank. How this entry would have been made? It would have been like bank debit and trade receivables credit, because trade receivables have paid to us, so trade receivables have decreased, so that's why we have written bank here. Now the closing balance, the trade receivables at the end are $49,089, right? So this is our closing figure at 31 March 20x8. Now let's read further. Just give me a second. Yeah. It's true. Zaid wishes to write off an irrecoverable debt of $14,500 and make an allowance equivalent to 2% of remaining debt. This is very important, of remaining debt. So see now what's happening here. She had receivables of, initially she had receivables of dollar 49,890, right? I told you the closing balance. From here I have got it, right? But now there were some bad debts, some irrecoverable debts. Some debtors said that no, we won't pay to you. Okay, so these bad debts I'll deduct from here because they are not going to pay me. Okay, these are my bad debts, so I have to reduce my trade receivables now. Now the remaining amount would be my closing receivables. Okay, the receivables which I will actually show. But I have to make an allowance too. Okay, allowance means that I will make a provision that in future that it might happen that this much receivables won't pay to me. So they have told me that I have to make allowance of 2% of remaining debt. So whatever amount I will get here, I will make an allowance of 2% of this amount, right? So let me calculate this amount. So when I'll deduct 49, just a second. Yeah, 49890 less 14,500. So I'll get an amount of 35,390. So my allowance would be 2% of 35,390. Okay, so this would come out to be, just a second. Percent of this, 707.8. 707.8. So see, let me highlight it for you. These are my bad debts, 14,500, and this is my allowance. Okay. Now see further. What have they asked us to calculate? There was no allowance at the end of previous financial year, means that in the previous years we had not made any allowance. All right. What amount should be included in the statement of profit and loss for irrecoverable debts? So what is the total amount that we should include in our profit and loss to show as irrecoverable debts? So this would be made up of our bad debts, plus our provision or the allowance, I can say. Okay, so we have to add 14,500 this amount, and we have to add 707.8 to get our to get irrecoverable debts figure that would be shown in the statement of profit and loss. All right. So when you will add these both, you will get 15207.8, right? Which is option D. Let me write here. You have to add 14500 plus 707.8, which would come out to be 15207.8. So which is option this, D. Okay, so be very careful while calculating the allowance, that they have said that we have to make allowance 2% of remaining debts. Okay, and what are our remaining debts? The closing figure of 14,890 minus the irrecoverable debt of 14,500, right? Now let's move on to question number 2. At the end of 20x5, Zena wrote off a bad debt of $4,000 owed by a customer. Okay, so there was some customer, and that customer had to pay Zena $4,000. But that customer did not pay this amount to Zena. So Zena wrote it off as a bad debt, that which means that she removed it from her trade receivables. She said that I'm not gonna receive this amount anymore. Okay, so she removed this. So what entry she must have passed? She must have passed the entry of bad debts, debit, because bad debts is our expense and expenses have debit balance. So I'll write bad debts debit 4,000, and trade receivables credit, because receivables have a debit balance. So now I have to remove it. I have to cancel it out. So I'll write credit trade receivables, which would come out to be 4,000. So this was the initial entry that she must have passed. All right. Now, during 20x's, customer A unexpectedly paid this debt. So what happened that initially this customer A, he did not pay this amount, okay? But unexpectedly in the future, he paid this amount. So they're asking us what journal entry would we pass, okay? So see, when we have received some amount, we would debit bank, okay? What we would do? We would debit bank, because money has come in. Okay, this is our asset. Assets have debit balance. So what comes in, we debit that. So bank would be debited by 4,000, right? Now see here, option A has debit trade receivables. This won't be our answer. Okay, and option C would also be not our answer, because it says debit bad debt expense. Okay, we have to debit bank. So we have to see whether our answer is option B or is it C. So now let's see what we would credit. Option D says to credit trade receivables. But see, we cannot credit trade receivables, because we have actually previously cancelled it. Alright, we have cancelled our trade receivables here. So we cannot cancel it again. Rather, we will credit bad debt expense. We debited here because we thought this is our expense, but we unexpectedly received that amount. So that amount is now our income, and incomes have credit balance. Or you can say that I'm just canceling this. Okay, initially I debited this, but this is not actually my bad debt. I received this amount, so I will credit it. Okay, so here it would come 4,000. So our answer would be option D. This debit bank 4,000 and credit bad debt expense 4,000. This is your answer. Okay, so be very careful not to credit trade receivables, because we have already cancelled the account. Okay, we have already removed the trade receivables from our books. What is left is bad debt expense, okay, which was not actually our expense. So now when we initially debited it, now we will credit it. Okay, we will remove that, we will remove the effect. Now let's move on to question number 3. Joe and Zane are both in business trading with each other as well as many other customers. Joe owes Zane $1,200. Okay, so here there are two people. One is Joe and other is Zane. So Joe has to give Zane $1,200. Okay, and Zane has to give Joe $1,550. So they both owe each other some amount. Okay. These amounts are included within their trade receivables and trade payables. All right. Okay, so let us understand with an example. So this is you and this is your friend. you have to give $100 to your friend, and your friend has to give you $150. Let us assume this. Okay. So what will you both do? You will say that instead of giving you $100, you just give me the balance, which is $50. Okay, which is the net amount. $100 minus $150. This is our balance. Okay. This is the net amount. So you'll just simply say that instead of I will give you $100 and then you'll give me $150, just give me the net amount, which is $50. Okay, so this. So the same case would happen here in case of Joe and Zin. Okay, so what we will do here, just a second, let me erase this. So see, in books of Jane, sorry, in books of Joe, there would be a receivable, okay, and a payable too. Similarly, in case of Zane also, there would be a receivable for 1200 and a payable of $1550, right? So what we will do, we will cancel this balance. We will cancel this balance. How would we cancel this? See, what is the balance of trade receivables? It is a debit balance, but now we will credit it because we have to remove. Okay, because I'm saying that you just have to pay the net amount. You need not pay the whole amount. So I will credit my trade receivables. And also I'll remove my payables balance. Okay, I won't payables have a credit balance. Okay, so I have to remove that from my books now. So I'll write here trade payables, because we need not pay each other the whole amount. We would just pay the net amount, right? So what will I do? I will take this smaller amount, this 1200, and I will remove this. Okay, and what would be left? We would just be left with the net amount of whatever it will come out to be. Okay, so in my entries in where I have debited the trade payables and credited trade receivables, I would show the amount of 1200 because I am removing this amount, so that only the net amount is left. All right, so it would be option D again. Debit trade payables and credit trade receivables. Okay, please understand the logic that receivables have a debit balance, but now we are canceling. Okay, this is a contra entry. This entry is existing in books of both Joe and Zane, but now we will remove this. Okay, because these are balanced with each other. So 1200 would be appearing in books of both, so we will remove this 1200, right? Now let's move on to next question. Question number 4. Just a second. Yeah. A company has the following balances for trade receivables and allowance for irrecoverable debt. Okay. So trade receivables were $16350, allowance was 335, and general and administrative expenses were 25650. An irrecoverable debt of $2200 needs to be written off. Okay, so this is our bad debt. All irrecoverable debts are charged to administrative expenses here. We charge bad debts here. An allowance for irrecoverable debts equivalent to 2% of remaining trade receivables is required, right? What amount should be shown for general and administrative expenses in statement of profit and loss? Okay, so this general and administrative expenses would include my bad debts, plus it would include the allowance, which I have to make at 2% of remaining trade receivables. So 2200 is my bad debt, right? So I'll write here 2200. But now I have to calculate allowance too. So let's see how we will calculate this. So allowance is 2% of remaining trade receivables. My trade receivables initially were $1635. Oh, just a second. Trade receivables initially were $16350. Then there were some bad debts, or I can say irrecoverable debts. So I will remove it from here. They were 2200, right? So you will get a figure of $14150. Okay. Now allowance of 2% would be made on this amount. 2% of 14150. Okay, so when you'll calculate this, this would be dollar 283, right? So this is our allowance. But see, there's something different in this question from question number one. In question number one, they specifically told us that there was no allowance for receivables. Okay, initially we didn't have any allowance for receivables. But in this question, if you will see that we already had an allowance of 335. Okay, our initial allowance was 335. But I only need an allowance of 283. So there is a reduction, right? Initially, I calculated an expense of 335. Okay, allowance is my expense. So I calculated that my allowance should be 335. But the company said that we have to maintain it at 2% of remaining trade receivables. So 2% is 283. So my expenses has decreased. Okay, so I will take the movement, just minus both the figures, you will get $52. Be very careful that this is not an increase. Okay, we will not add it here. What we do generally, we add allowance, but now it is a deduction. Okay, because our allowance has decreased. This is something good. Okay, so we should reduce our expenses because our allowance has decreased. So I will write here minus 52. Okay, I hope you have understood the logic. Initially, we had allowance of $335, but now our allowance is just of $283. So there is a reduction in the allowance. So the reduction is of $52. So I have to remove this from my expenses. Okay, I will decrease my expenses, right? So 2200 minus 52 would be 2148, right? And what were my general and administrative expenses? 25650. So add them here because we have to tell the total. This 25650 did not have the impact of bad debts and the allowance. Okay. So in this 25650, I added the bad debts and I deducted the allowance because my allowance decreased. So I should decrease my expenditure, right? So this would come out to be 27798. Okay. When you will calculate this, it would come out to be 27798, which is option C, right? So be very careful. Just look at the movement carefully, whether it is increasing or decreasing. Okay? Moving forward to question number 5. The revenue of a company was $4 million. Okay. Revenue means sales. Okay. So they were $4 million. And its trade receivables were 7.5% of revenue. So trade receivables were 7.5%, I can write it like this, of revenue, which is this figure. So let us calculate the trade receivables. This would come out to be $3 lakh, or I can say 0.3 million. Okay. Now let's read further. The company wishes to have an allowance for irrecoverable debts equivalent to 3% of trade receivables. So see what has happened. They had given us the revenue and they told that trade receivables are 7.5 of revenue. So I calculated 7.5% of revenue. So my trade receivables were 3 lakh. Now they further said that my allowance is 3% of trade receivables. So in order to calculate my allowance, I will take 3% of receivables, which is receivables are these. So I'll take 3% of this amount. So this would come out to be $9,000. Okay, fine. What are they asking us now? Which would result in an increase of 25% of current allowance. So they said, let us read it once again. The company wishes to have an allowance for irrecoverable debts equivalent to 3% of trade receivables, which would result in an increase of 25% of current allowance. So see, now we'll apply our basic maths. So let us assume that let the Let the initial allowance be X. Okay, that initially we had an allowance of X. So because of this, our allowance has increased by 25%. Okay, this 9,000 we have got by adding 25% to our initial allowance. So whatever our initial allowance was, we added 25% to this allowance, and then we got 9,000. Okay, we had initial allowance of X, and when we added 25% of this X, we got 9,000. Okay, so it would be X plus, then you'll reduce this 25 and 100, you will get 1 by 4 of X, which is 9,000. Then take the LCM 4, it would be 4X plus X equals to 9,000, which would be 9,000 into 4 upon 5. Okay, so initially our allowance was, let us calculate our X. This would be 9,000 into 4 divided by 5, 7,200. So our initial allowance was 7,200, and now our allowance, our new allowance is 9,000. Okay, what is the charge to profit or loss for irrecoverable debts? Okay, so charge, they are asking us the increase. So see, our initial allowance was 7,200, and the increases, and it has increased to 9,000. So take the movement, and only its movement will go to profit and loss, like we did in this question. Okay, in this question above 2, we just took the movement. Okay, we did not take the 2% which was coming, I guess it was coming around 283 something. Okay, we did not take that movement. We did not take that amount, we just took the movement. Similarly, in this question too, this is our opening allowance, and this is our closing allowance after adding 25%. Okay, so the movement would come out to be 9,000 minus 7,200. It would be 1,800. Okay, which is option A. Give me a second. Right, option A, 1,800. So see, they have given you the option of 9,000 too, because many students, they would just calculate this 9,000 amount correctly, and they will in a hurry select this option. Okay, but this is not our answer. Okay, we have to tell the charge to profit and loss, and the charge is the movement, and the movement is of 1,800. Right, so we are done with 5 questions. Let us move forward. At the end of September exits, the trade payables ledger account of a business is $2350. Okay. So there's a business, and its trade payables ledgers show that they have to pay $2350, okay, to suppliers, which differs from the supplier statement receipt. So see, there are two people. One is the business and others are the supplier. So this business would prepare trade payables ledger account. Okay, and the suppliers would send the business sorry, suppliers would send the business a supplier statement. This supplier statement will tell really sorry, the supplier statement will tell the business how much amount the business owes to the supplier according to the supplier. Okay, this trade payables ledger is according to the business. Okay, according to the suppose that according to me, I owe you rupees 200. Okay, but you told me that no, you do not owe me to rupees 200, rather you owe me 300. That you say that you have to pay me 300. Okay, so similarly, the trade payable ledger is according to the business, and supplier statement is made according to the supplier, and supplier send this statement to the business. Okay, so what is happening here, there's a difference between the two. Okay, according to the business, the trade payable ledger shows 2350, that business has to pay $2350 to the supplier, but supplier statement says something else. Okay, so upon review, the business identifies the following. So now this difference should not exist. Okay, because if I owe you 200, then I owe you 200 only, then according to you also I should owe you rupees 200 only. So they investigated the reasons why this difference is arising. After correcting these issues, what is the correct trade payables ledger account balance? Okay, so we have to tell that when we will take into account these differences, what would be our corrected trade payables ledger balance? So a supplier invoice of $552 was omitted from trade payables ledger account. Okay, so supplier has sent an invoice. Okay, an invoice is just like a bill. Okay, that you owe me rupees 552. Supplier said that you have to pay me rupees dollar 552. But in the trade payables ledger account, this was omitted, that they forgot to record this entry. Okay, so which means that when an invoice, we will receive an invoice, this would increase our trade payables, because now we have to pay this dollar 552 amount to, right? We have to pay this amount, but initially we forgot to include this invoice. So now I will add this 552 in my trade payables ledger account. Okay, this is my trade payables ledger account balance, right? Clear about this first difference? Now let's move on to the second. A credit note of dollar 230 was omitted from the trade payables ledger account, right? So what is a credit note? A credit note is a credit note tells that we have returned some purchases. Initially, we purchased something from a supplier, but later on we returned it. Okay, now because we have returned the purchases, so we will not pay that amount to the supplier, obviously, because we purchased it. Okay, so at that time we would have recorded this 230 amount, but now we have returned the goods. Okay, so which means that we do not owe them now this 230 amount. Okay, we will not pay them 230. So this was again omitted in this trade payables ledger. We forgot to record this 230. So here we will subtract this, because this is something extra which we are recording in our trade payables ledger account. Okay, we initially recorded this dollar 230 amount, but we do not actually owe this amount to the supplier, because we have returned this. Okay, this is a purchase return. So whenever you see this word credit, remember that we have returned the goods. All right, so we do not owe this 230 amount, so we will remove it. Now let's see further. An error in the statement where payment of $650 was recorded as 560. Now be very careful. They say an error in the statement, which means an error in the supplier statement. Some mistake was made in supplier statement, the statement which the supplier has sent. Okay, but here we are correcting our trade payables ledger account. So this error, which relates to supplier statement, will not have any impact here. Okay, here we will not do any calculation for this. Okay, we will not adjust our trade payable ledgers, because this mistake was done in the supplier statement. Okay, and we are correcting our trade payables ledger, so we will only make the adjustment for the first two differences, this and this. All right, because we omitted something in our trade payables ledger. This amount, this error which the supplier which is made in the supplier statement, it would be corrected in the supplier statement. We have correctly recorded. Okay, they said their payments of $650 was recorded as 560. So we have already recorded the correct amount of 650. So we need not adjust our trade payables ledger. Okay, so only these two adjustments would be made here. Okay, so when you will adjust it, you will get an amount of, let me calculate, 2350 plus 552 less 230, 2672. Okay, which is option B. Many students would adjust this too, because they will not read this word statement. This statement means the supplier statement. Okay, we will not make any adjustment of this third difference in our trade payables ledger, right? Let's move to question number 7. A second. Yeah. A company has trade receivables totaling $16,000 after writing off irrecoverable debts of $500 and an allowance for irrecoverable debts brought forward of $2,000. Okay. The company wishes to carry forward an allowance for irrecoverable debts equivalent to 5% of trade receivables. All right. What will be the effect on profit of adjusting the allowance? So we have trade receivables of $16,000. And these trade receivables are after writing off the bad debts of 500 and after this allowance of $2,000. Okay. So now the company wishes to carry forward so we will just calculate allowance on this amount. Okay. Please do not subtract 500 and 2000 from 16,000? Because this 16,000 is already adjusted for these. Okay, they have clearly written that this amount of 16,000 is after writing off irrecoverable debts and allowance. Okay, so directly calculate 5% of 16,000. So this would be $800. Okay, so the allowance is $800. What will be the effect of profit on adjusting the allowance? So this should be our allowance, but actually with the allowance which we have brought forward is $8,000. Sorry, $2,000. Are you understanding what is happening here? At the start of the year, our allowance was 2,000. Okay, but at the year end, we have to maintain our allowance of 5% of trade receivables, which is this amount. So the allowance has decreased. Initially, it was 2,000 and now it has come down to 800. So allowance has decreased by $1,200. So what will be the impact on profits? So this is very obvious that allowance is an expense, and when we will decrease our expenses, our profits would increase. Okay, because we are reducing our expenses, we are spending less, so our profits would increase. So our profits would increase by $1,200. All right, let's move forward. A junior accountant has prepared the following trade payables account. Okay. When the account is corrected, what will be the balance to be carried down? So since he was a junior accountant, so he has made some mistakes. So now we have to correct these mistakes. So okay, let's see how this will happen. Let us also make this account. This is our debit side. This is our credit side. So some payments were made. Oh, okay. So these payments are on the right side because see, the trade payables are our liability and liabilities have a credit balance. But now when we are paying our trade payables, so our liability is decreasing. So in order to decrease the trade payables, we will debit it. Okay, because trade payables have a credit balance. So on the credit side, the trade payables would increase, and on the debit side, trade payables would decrease. So payments would decrease the trade payables. So this amount of 61357 is on the correct side. This is correct. Okay. Now the next. Trade receivables contra. What is this? This is the same entry which we did in the previous question. What entry did we pass? We debited our trade payables because payables have a credit balance, so we cancelled it, and we credited the trade receivables, right? We did this entry. So again, we were removing the trade payables, okay, which means we are reducing the trade payables. So reducing trade payables means debiting them. So it is also appearing on the right side. Trade receivables contra is also appearing on the right side because we are reducing our trade payables. Okay. Now balance carried down. This is also on the right side. Balance carried down is the closing balance. 41,341. So our debit side is correct. Opening balance brought down. This is also on the correct side because I told you that payables is our liability and liabilities have a credit balance. So opening balance would appear here on the credit side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Now purchases. Fine, we have purchased some goods from a supplier. Okay, from the payables, we have purchased purchased some goods. So we will pay them later, which will increase our liability. The entry would be purchases debit and trade payables credit because we are paying them later on. So this is increasing our liability. So again, this is on the correct side, on the credit side. Purchases of 75637. Now, this discount received 11235. Look at it. Suppose you purchased you took something which was worth $100, okay? But your supplier gave you a discount of 200. So this discount receipt would reduce your liability. Now instead of paying 100, you will have to pay, sorry, this was 20. Let me write it again in a better way. I don't know what's happening. See, you purchase something worth $100 and your supplier gave you a discount of 20. So now you have to pay him 80. You have to pay reduced amount. So because of this discount, your liability has reduced, right? Your liability has reduced because now instead of paying 100, you just have to pay $80 to him. So this discount received decreases our liability, and our liability is trade payables, okay? And decrease in trade payables would be shown on debit side, and they have incorrectly showed it here on the credit side. So we will write here discount received 11235. Okay, so this should be your discount receipt. And what, when the count is corrected, what will be the balance carried down? Okay, so we have to calculate this balance carried down amount. You will not write this, okay? You will not write this because this is the correct amount which we have to show. We will write this, and we corrected this discount received 11235 because this has actually decreased our liability. So this should go on the debit side. So just total these sides. When you will total the credit side, you will get. I'll calculate it. So add 23457 plus 75637. This is 99094. And when you will total your this side, debit side, this would be 61357 plus 7631 plus 11235. So it is coming out to be 80223. Okay, so balance would be, balance carried down would be 99094 minus the total of all these three, which is 80223. So this is 9094. It is coming out to be 18871, which is option B. Okay, so they did the entire thing correctly, but the only mistake that which they made was this discount receipt, right? Let's move on to question number 9. The following information relate to Abdul's trade receivable trade receivables on 1 January 20x4 15062, trade receivables at 31 December 20x4 18352. Okay, so trade receivable account. Let us prepare trade receivables account. This is debit side. This is credit side. So opening would come here, balance carried down, opening 15062, and closing would come here, balance this is opening balance, this is closing balance. This is 18352. Okay. Total receipts during 20x4, including cash sales. So during this year of 20x4, we have received this amount 103,103,578. We have received this amount. Okay. And out of these 103,578, we must have made some sales. Okay, so these sales happened both in cash and on the credit. Okay, so which related to trade receivables. So out of these receipts of 103,578, 15659 relates to cash, which means that we made sales worth $15659 in cash. So the balance would be trade receivables. Okay, this figure minus this cash figure would be our trade receivables. So calculate this. 103578 less 15659. It is coming out to be 87919. Okay, which means that during the year our trade receivables have decreased by this amount because we have received the cash. See, total receipts. So total receipts were this. We received this total amount, but 15659 was the cash amount. So the remaining 8791 were our trade receivables, and these trade receivables paid us, which means that we have received the cash. So trade receivables would have decreased Since trade receivables have a debit balance, so a decrease in the trade receivables would go on the credit side. Okay, so here I'll write bank or cash. Okay, in whatever form I have received my trade receivables, this would be 87919 because we have received the money from our trade receivables. Okay, that's why we are crediting it, right? And irrecoverable debts written off during the year were 2159. So irrecoverable debts again, which means that these people are not gonna pay to us, okay, which means that our trade receivables would decrease since we will not receive money from them. Again, a decrease would go on this credit side, bad debts, or you can write irrecoverable debts 2159. Okay, so they have asked us to calculate the sales which are made on the credit. If we have made some sales on the credit, which means that our trade receivables would increase because we have not received money now, but we will receive this money in future. Okay, so they are gonna pay us in the future. So my assets have increased, my trade receivables have increased. So my balance would come here on the debit side. Okay, which would give us our credit sales. So again, total both the sides. Yeah, calculate this. On the credit side, the amount would be 108430. This should be the total on both the sides. 108430 and subtract 15062 from this amount. So we'll get our balancing figure. This is 108430 minus 15062. So this is coming out to be 93368. Okay, so here the sales which were made on the credit were 93368. All right, moving forward. Question number 10. At the end of August X1, the trade payables ledger account of a business is $560, while the supplier statement received shows a balance of 691. Again, this is the same question which we did. Okay, now let's see what this question is saying. So according to the business, according to the trade payables ledger, we should pay $560, but our suppliers say that no, you have to pay $691. So now we will review the difference. Why this difference is coming? This should be same. Okay, so we will discover the differences. After correcting these issues, what is the correct trade payables ledger balance? So again, we have to correct our trade payable ledger and we will tell what is the corrected amount. Okay. So a supplier invoice of $45 was omitted from the trade payables ledger. Again, the supplier has sent some invoice, some bill, but we did not account this in our trade payables ledger. Okay, we did not record this bill. So technically our trade payables should increase because of this invoice. Okay, because we have to pay them $45. So we will add here $45. Okay. Now again, a credit note of $23 was incorrectly recorded in the trade payables ledger as $32. Right. So we made some purchase return. Okay. Credit note means that we made some purchase return. But these purchase returns were worth $23, but was incorrectly recorded as $32. We said that we have returned goods worth $32, but actually we had returned goods worth only 23. Okay, so this difference is coming of 9. So this should be added here because we said that we will not pay you 32, but in reality we will just only we will not pay them 23. So we have said that some extra amount that we will not pay. Okay, are you understanding this? Let me tell you again. I'll write here on this side. What has happened is credit note means purchase returns. Okay, I have returned some purchases. So in my trade payables ledger account, I said that I will not give you $32. But in reality, it was 23. Okay, the purchases which I have returned were worth 23. So I have recorded some extra amount which I will not pay, but I should now record this because this $9, this difference, I have to pay them this. Okay, because this was the incorrect amount which I have recorded. So I will add this $9 in my trade payables. A payment of $77 made on 31 August was not reflected in the statement. Again, this statement is this supplier statement and we are just correcting our trade payables ledger. This difference was correctly dealt in our trade payables ledger. So I will not touch my trade payables ledger. I will only adjust these two entries. So this would be 560 plus 45 plus 9 $614, which is option A. Be very careful. In the previous question, we deducted this credit note amount because we did not record that amount. We fully did not record that amount. Okay, we thought that we have to pay that amount to the supplier, but in reality we had returned those goods, so that's why our trade payables had decreased. But what has happened here in this question, that we incorrectly said that we will not pay you 32, but in reality it was just 23. So this extra amount, this 9, we have to pay this, so we will add this because we have to pay, so it will increase our liability, right? Now let's move on to the next question. I'll erase this one from here and then we will do our last question. Question number 11 is the last question. Okay. Hmm. So this question says, Zupo has a business selling electronic gadgets to retail outlets. So Zupo sells electronic gadgets. He offers 60 days credit to his customers. On 30 June 2023, he has the following trade receivables and allowance for irrecoverable debts. So the opening trade receivables were $3 lakh 10,000. Then he made some sales which increased the trade receivables. Then some amount was some amount was received. So we credited the bank. We wrote here, bank $1240,000 and this was finally our closing balance. Okay, since we received this amount, that's why it's appearing on the credit side. Okay, so further, this was the allowance for irrecoverable debts. So the allowance opening is $12,400. Zupo has yet to write off an irrecoverable debt of 8700, and the allowance for irrecoverable debts is to be adjusted to the equivalent 4% of trade receivables based on the past experience. What will be included in the current assets for receivables? Okay, so see, right now our closing balance is $3,20,000, but we have not yet adjusted this 8700 bad debts. Okay, so subtract it from here, 8700. Let's see what comes out. This would be 311,300. All right, so these are our trade receivables. Now they are saying that we have to make an allowance of 4% of trade receivables. So allowance would be 4% of 311,300, which is $12452. Okay, so this is allowance. This is our closing allowance. But initially we had an allowance of $12,400. Okay, so now our allowance is 12452. But initially it was 12400. So we will just see the increase by how much the allowance has increased. So this has increased by $52. Okay, so now we will just take this difference in our calculation. Okay, please do not take this entire amount of closing allowance. We will just take the movement of 52. So they are asking us to calculate the current assets for receivables. So see, our receivables is 311,300. This is after adjusting the bad debts, but I have to also adjust my allowance. So my allowance has increased. Okay, sorry, sir. We will deduct the entire allowance. We will not see the movement here. Okay, rather we will deduct the entire allowance. I'm really sorry for the error. Please do not look at this. Okay, we will not take the difference because we are showing our current assets, our trade receivables in the balance sheet. So we will take the entire amount. Okay, we will take the entire trade receivables. Then we will deduct the bad debts. Then we will deduct the entire allowance, which is the closing allowance. Okay, so from this 311,300, you will deduct 12452. Okay, so this would be, when you subtract it, I'll calculate 311,300 less 452. So it would be 298,848. 298,848. Okay. So we just take the movement in our profit and loss account. But here they asked us what would be our trade receivables in the balance sheet. Okay. In the statement of financial position, they have written here in the statement of financial position. That's why I will take this entire amount of allowance and I will not look at the movement. Okay, they have just given this opening balance for confusion. Okay, like I got confused, so be very careful. The movement goes into the statement of profit and loss, and this entire allowance would be deducted from our trade receivables. What have I done? I took the trade receivables. Okay, I deducted the bad debts. Then I came at a figure of 311,300. I calculated 4% of this 12452 and I deducted it again from this 311,300. Okay, so the trade receivables which would appear in my balance sheet, they would be less of bad debts and allowance after deducting bad debts and allowance, right? So that's it for this video. In this video, we took up 11 questions. Okay, we saw trade payables, ledger, supplier statement. Okay, then we saw allowance, bad debts. We did everything. Okay, so yeah, that's it. You can revise it, and still, if you have some doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.